Hi, I'm NiK Kacy, and I am the executive producer and creator of Equality Fashion Week. It's the first LGBTQ-focused fashion week in LA, and the mission is to help uplift our LGBTQ plus community through economic development and by giving them a platform, literally a stage, to show their talents and their designs and give an avenue for the rest of the public to see their creativity. As a designer, because I have my own brand, which is the NiK Kacy Footwear, and it's the first gender-free, gender-equal footwear and accessories company. And so when I created that in 2014, basically I started to go to all these different fashion shows and fashion weeks to showcase my stuff and realized that, first of all, only in very specific catered fashion weeks that were for queer folks were their representation, but they didn't get a lot of exposure. And secondly was doing these shows as queer designers and as queer brands, we don't have the resources and the capital to, be able to afford to travel and develop all of our collections, and a lot of them, cost money to participate in. And certainly mainstream fashion weeks, which get a lot more notoriety and publicity, are so expensive that it's often beyond our reach. Especially as like POC, trans, or non-binary folks, we don't have the same resources, right? So I really wanted to create something that was going to, uplift those most underrepresented and create the visibility and awareness that we don't often get.
Now, you did mention your own brand, and it looks like you're sporting actually one of your designs.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about it. Can you show it to us?
Sure, yeah. So this is that's the back. This is called a gender-free utility holster, and basically I wanted to create something that was, secure and stylish and sexy and also incredibly versatile. And I believe it's like really the only holster that exists that has like different configurations so that you can change it up. If you feel more feminine one day, you can like extend this and make it longer, or wear it like a purse, and by removing one side, or you can wear just one holster. One wallet on one side, or you can wear both of them. You can wear this across as like a messenger bag if you wanted to. There's so many different ways, and I really wanted to create something that allowed people to express themselves authentically without the confines of a gender binary.
Have you always designed? Is it something that came along later in life? How did that happen? How was the story?
Yeah, so I actually did not come from a design background or a fashion background. I was actually I was an artist. I was a fine arts major and also in advertising. So I was in advertising for about 20 years, and I was a producer for most of that. And so I produced a lot of, events or collateral or photo shoots and stuff like that, and always very creative. But I always, as a kid, loved to draw and sketch like men's clothing and cars and things like that. So when it came down to really recognizing that I could not find the shoes that I wanted to wear that helped me express myself authentically, I just realized that if I can't find it, I gotta do it myself. So I just started sitting down and designing. The queer community in general has been always so innovative because we're so underrepresented, right? So we can't ever seem to find things that help us be our true selves. So we're such a talented and creative group of people as a whole. And so I think, have the tendency to find ways to solve the problems that exist by creating our own things, and then mainstream culture kind of appropriates it and takes it over and becomes trendy and whatnot, which is, fine, and that's great. But I think what's important is that like we have to give our community the credit for doing it, and so that's why we have to support those brands. And for people who can't like afford those brands yet, there's always, I think, alternatives. There are ways to be creative and like find methods of like expressing ourselves creatively. I mean, that's how we've always done it. So I think that it's not impossible.
And for viewers who might not necessarily identify as LGBTQ, who don't necessarily know what non-binary, can you explain to us what that is?
Sure. So, traditionally, our society has always viewed gender as male or female, which is binary, right, too. And if you look into, the history of mankind, or humankind, there's always been actually in certain cultures the expression of two spirits or like, gender fluidity. And I think that we're just now in the movement of being able to really show awareness of that and being more free and accepting of all these different spectrums. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, none of us are just one thing, right? Like, all of us have the ability or the tendency, not tendency, but like the freedom, really, to feel all the different things that we feel, right? So how we express ourselves through fashion is something that can change every day. So we shouldn't be limited to like, we can only wear men's shoes or women's shoes or a shirt or a skirt or whatever, right? And I think that all of the queer designers that are participating in this show is really about that, like designing things for everyone.
Now, what can the audience expect from this show?
It's going to be, I feel, the most amazing show. It's certainly the biggest production I've ever produced on my own, like not being backed by like a corporation or like being at work in a company. So as a freelancer or as an entrepreneur, it's certainly the biggest endeavor I've ever taken on, and I'm so proud of it because there's over 150 talent that's going to be like on stage performing in some capacity, right? Including 115 models. We've got like 30-something dancers. And this year's theme is about unity, so I wanted to incorporate universal languages, besides fashion and makeup and hair artistry, but like dance and music. So I'm really, really excited. We have 5 hosts. I mean, it's just the whole gamut like of bringing all of the different letters of the LGBTQ community together and showing up for one another, because really that's the only way we're going to combat hate.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
How did you come up with the name Equality Fashion Week?
So there's, Rainbow Fashion Week, Queer Fashion Week. There's all these different fashion weeks that I feel like, I've been very blessed to be able to participate in. But I wanted to take it one step further because I think that, for me, equality and equity and community are so important. And so I wanted to use something that was related to my mission and my passion. And even in my brand, like everything has the equality sign because it's about gender equality and equality for all people. So I felt like Equality Fashion Week I could have no other name besides that. I was really fortunate to be connected with Johnny from IndieSource, who has helped me understand that there's this amazing resource like IndieSource that helps designers, especially new designers, develop their products, their designs, and bring their visions to reality. And being able to have access to that and not being, limited to like really large productions really helps us as queer designers, because we're all just starting off and we don't have the kind of capital and the resources that a lot of like mainstream companies have. So having somebody like IndieSource help us with building patterns and like finding the right factories and manufacturing is really a really wonderful resource. So if you haven't gotten your tickets already, please go to equalityfashionweek.com. Get your tickets now because I know we're going to sell out. It's going to be an amazing turnout. We have an amazing after party afterwards here at the Globe, this fantastic venue that I'm so honored to be able to showcase my show here, because it's been a dream of mine to do an event here. It's just one of the most beautiful spaces. It's historic. October 13th is a show, and then we have 3 days of pop-ups where all of the designers and local queer businesses can have booths and like welcome the public to come and see their stuff and really help our community grow through economic development. So get your tickets. Thank you. And follow us on Instagram, Equality Fashion Week.